Hey, good morning to all of you guys. So today we're working on this 2017 Toyota Fielder, and in this episode we are finally we're gonna do a very in-depth video about servicing the hybrid system in this particular vehicle, which we can also compare it to the Toyota Aqua, the Prius C, Toyota Corolla Axio. So if you want to get to know, stay tuned and we'll continue then. Alright, so if you can appreciate, that is the suction ventilation to cool the high voltage battery, which is located of course underneath the back seat of the vehicle. So we're gonna take it out. Let's continue. Alright, here we go. So we're basically just removing these clips on right under the seat. Just give me a second. Hey, remember that I'm working with my hands. With only one hand, I'm sorry. Alright. There it is. So this first one is out. Yes, you can see this is the suction ventilation directly to the cooling fan. And the next one, let's see if you can see the cooling fan over here. Sorry. There it is. And voila, look what we have over here. This is the high voltage battery. Let me just finish to take it out and I'll show you in just a moment. Alright, so as you can appreciate, we have the 12-volt battery right next to the high voltage battery under the seat. So now we need to pull these cover out. So we'll continue that. Just give me a second. It is actually very easy. It just goes in by pressure. You just have to pull it out and that's it. Alright, so here we have fully access to the frame, which of course we still have to take it off. All right, so let's continue. All right, so now that we have fully access to the frame, we're just going to remove the bolts, but before that we gotta disconnect the 12-volt battery. That's the rule number one. All right, let's continue. All right, now the following warning is to avoid if you want to do it yourself, this type of work. Make sure before putting your hands on any component that has these bright light orange color, that means high voltage. So high voltage can kill you. All right, so you definitely want to avoid touching this if you do not have the proper training. So I repeat, if you want to put your hands into this type of components, get the proper training. All right, you need to follow safety protocols because this is important. If you do not follow the safety protocols, you can get killed. So just want to make a quick review about this because it's definitely important, because I've seen in a lot of YouTube videos a lot of people put it in his hand. Thank God nothing has happened, but you never know. All right, so accidents really happen. So make sure get proper training, follow the procedures, safety protocols, and that's it. We'll continue then. Alright, so after we remove the service plug, alright, we're going to locate it in a very safe, any place that you could put it away together with the keys that nobody has access to it. Alright, so in this case, I'm putting it in my pocket. I'm pretty sure nobody will have access to it. Then we're going to remove these topper ventilation. So this is the exhaust ventilation of the battery. So the fan sucks. The air blows under the battery, travels through the cells right here, and then comes out through this air duct directly outside of the vehicle. Right? So we're gonna take it up and we continue that. Alright, so after we safely remove the service plug, we're going to use this little nut over here as a tool to take out this clip, safety clip, right? So I gotta use both my hands. So let me just take it out and we'll continue. Give me a second. All right, so with the safety plug, we just turn this around and that's it. Clip this out. Let's put it in a safe place. Now we can take off the cover in order to disconnect the lines that goes through the inverter. All right, let's continue then. Right after everything's been disconnected, we got to take out these covers, as you can see, and then we have access to the controller for the junction block to activate the power relays. We have the positive and negative terminals outlet. This is the outlet, positive and negative, to the directly to the inverter, which by this clips we just need to disconnect it, and that's it. So let's just disconnect the junction block over here. This is the electronics. We got to disconnect the fan, cooling fan. It's disconnected. All right, let's get to the other side for a moment. Give me a second. Then we have right in this side the battery management unit, and this one, as you can see, this is the interlock switch that goes in the safety plug. So let's continue. All right, guys, back in business. So we already disconnect the positive and negative terminal through the clips. We already measure the voltage. We know for sure that our voltage is safe, 0. So the battery is now completely disconnected. We just have to take out these 4 bolts to the sides, and voila, the battery is free to go up. So let's continue and I'll show you. All right, the battery is completely loosened. As you can see, I can move it with my hands. It's not so heavy, but still will be better to take it out 2 persons. First of all, because you will save your back for future pains, and just to be careful because it's a little, just volume, it's big. All right, so let's continue. I'm gonna take the battery to the lab. All right, back here in the lab. Okay, so we can identify here, we have the battery part number. This is made by Prime Earth EV Energy. This is a company in Japan. All right, let's see what we got over here. Of course, we cannot read all these instructions, but these are just safety instructions. They're in Japanese. I'm pretty sure if you're located in any place in America selling this vehicle, you will see them. But one thing for sure, we can read high voltage inside. All right, so remember, get a proper training before you put your hands on this. Okay, so we have over here the main connectors for the safety plug grip. So once you take off the safety plug grip, you absolutely separate in half the high voltage battery. So instead of having 144 voltage, it has half. So that means that voltage, DC voltage, we could consider that it's safe to work. We have here the little jack for the interlock switch. And we have over here the connection for the battery management unit. And as you can see, the cells inside. And all these tiny little cables over here, you see, these are the temperature sensors. So let's just continue from this side. Let's see what we got here. All right, so we have this cable over here. This one is the connection for the current sensor, and this one is the intake air temperature sensor. Our positive and negative outlet DC high voltage, our controllers for the activated relays, and basically that's it. So what we're gonna do is just let's take it apart and let's see what we got. All right, so we fully took up all the covers. As you can see, this is uncovered. We have fully access to the management unit. So as you can see, it has a low voltage connection. It has the connection for the 1, 2, 3, and 4 temperature sensors, and of course the current sensor located right here. Okay, you got to take these off anyway. And also remember that how do we monitor the high voltage from the individual cells? Right through this connection over here. Okay, now we can take these off. We have full access to the junction plug. We got to take it off. We have the inlet air duct, which, as you can see, this tiny little hole where the temperature sensor goes, right? So let's continue then. Okay, so once we finally push out all the components, right, we put it in order here to the side, it's now time to remove all the connecting lugs, or what you also can call them the bus bars. So what happened? What is it that we're really doing here? Well, just take a closer look. So in time, especially where in countries where the humidity is pretty high, there's it's completely normal that corrosion comes into each one of the connectors. There's a lot of power running into these cells, and of course corrosion is gonna come. That's inevitable. So what you should do, you should service it certain often, right? So at this very moment, I'm taking out one of the connecting lugs. As you can see, they begin to create a little corrosion and carbon build because of the temperature, right? And that, of course, in time creates resistance. So resistance is just a chain reaction to catastrophe, because that more resistant that you get, that more temperature the battery will get, and the more overheat, and eventually it will start damaging the module itself. And finally, of course, the full battery. So what we're gonna do? Well, you got two options. You can just take these out and properly clean them, or you can just replace it. So my recommendation, you can just replace it. It's not so expensive. Use the nickel metal connecting lugs or bus bars, and they are very affordable, and they don't get corroded too fast as these copper connecting lugs. All right, so let's continue. So now that we safely remove the small connecting lug, so we are ready to remove the large one, which contains also the connections for the battery monitoring. All right, as you can see, yes, there is still a lot of corrosion. Let's just take it out. As you can see, I'm working with one hand. It's totally safe because remember the circuit, there's no circuit anywhere. So voila, we have now fully access to the battery modules. But the following explanation that I'm going to give you guys, it's about discussing how in the world do you service this battery, why, and how often. Okay, make sure to subscribe that button, share this video, because this information coming is amazing. All right, so we'll continue that. Okay, so we completely remove the battery pack from the main frame, right? So as you can see, this main frame, you got to take it out certain often, because remember the air enters from the bottom and then blows up through these air gaps between the modules. All right, can you see? All right, so in time, debris, dirt, especially some people have a dog, whatever, debris turns to accumulate between the gaps, and this should be serviced. So my recommendation is definitely once a year. And of course, you got to clean all this frame, because all this frame, it accumulates. Now, I'm not talking particularly about this one, because this one is almost, I'm not going to say a brand new vehicle, but the mileage is not so high. But the main purpose of this video is, let's discuss what in the world do we do to this cell. So let's continue and I will explain. Okay, so we finally entering into the servicing of these battery packs. Now let's make it just a quick explanation that I have prepared over here. So some of you guys could be familiar if you use, for example, the Dr. Prius application. Do you remember that the battery management unit monitors the voltage not of the individual module, but in pair of blocks? So we're monitoring the voltage of these two blocks together in pair. So if we have a 20 individual modules connected in series, I monitor it in blocks. I will have the voltage of two of them together. So this is how you monitor the voltage using the system, any type of scan tool. But let's get familiar quickly using for example, the Dr. Prius application. So in a normal operation of the battery, we know that the cells should be in balance. So what do we understand about balance? They are lined up together, charge and discharge. All right, so there's an oscillation in the graphic that you will see in pairs. So one goes up, the other one goes down, but they should be going equally. All right, so this is a proper battery operation using for example, the Dr. Prius. I have prepared here. Yes, you might be very familiar with this. You might realize some of the batteries that are giving you the E0A80 code. So the P080 code when triggers the light in the dashboard, that means replace the hybrid battery pack. So they're just basically telling you that replace the pack. So we want to understand and want to know what happens. But when you see, if you're using the Dr. Prius application, you probably, by monitoring the battery, you will see a V-shaped pattern. So this V-shaped pattern is basically telling you that the weakest cells for some reason are the ones in the middle. So as you can see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So we can see number 1 and number 10 are the highest one. So progressively they're starting to lose capacity. Now the thing is, we want to know why this is a common pattern in these batteries. Why does this happen so much? Well, the answer is simple. It's just heat. So if we follow the V-shaped pattern, we know that the cells on these sides, they do not suffer too much. In the cells in the middle, they suffer something that is called thermal stress. All right, so the thermal stress, that means basically what happens if you leave a phone in the sun and your other phone, you always store it in the shade. Well, of course, the battery and the phone that it's in the sun every day, eventually is going to go bad really fast. So the thermal stress affects pretty much the cells in the middle. And of course, in time, you will get your V-shaped pattern, and of course, your battery will be totally way out of balance. But not only out of balance, but totally lost capacity. And finally, the battery simply damaged. So you will have to replace this, most of the cells in the middle. And so basically, I just want to make a quick comparison, for example, of a vehicle. So this is a vehicle driving, all right, in one direction. So if I ask you, for example, why do you rotate? Why does the factory owner's manual tells you that rotate the tires? Like, for example, if you're driving the vehicle in one direction and you're braking, which tire is gonna receive the most weight, the most stress? The rear or the front? We know for sure that the tires in the front are the ones who suffer the most stress. So if you leave these tires over here like forever, of course, in a certain short or middle term period of time, these tires are gonna go bad way much more faster than the ones in the back. So what do? Okay, you rotate your tires. Simple as that. And what do we do here? Well, exactly the same. We take out the cells and we fully, in order, we rotate them. So now the cells in the middle going to the sides and in both sides. Basically, that's how it works. So if you do this at least every, I'm not gonna say probably every 6 months, but probably once a year, you shouldn't get in trouble. These batteries are supposed to last years and years. The problem is that if you never service it, of course, you will get your V-shaped pattern pretty much faster than what it should. So this is happening pretty much to 2015, 16, 17, even 18 vehicles that, of course, they never service the hybrid system. We have over here the battery cooling fan. Now, it's not really the case on this vehicle, but it's a very common issue. Take a look at the blades. Now, who's responsible of this? We know heat, of course, but heat, debris, dirt, the fan, some of the fans, if you see in especially the Asian market, a lot of countries like Thailand, Pakistan, you see those countries, a lot of dirt, and people, of course, having hybrid vehicles, and they don't even know that they have a cooling system for the battery. And you see a lot of mats over here, and even here in the Caribbean, where we have a lot of Japanese market vehicles. So yes, you see that this happens pretty much often. So to avoid that, okay, we take out the whole frame, we clean the individual modules, we rotate them, we put it back together, we put some new connecting lugs. Then we're going to cycle the battery. What's we call cycle, where you connect it, like for example, I use the Prolong. The Prolong is just a collective charger and discharger. So what I'm gonna do, if by chance I have cells giving me out of balance with this machine, the only thing I do is just restore back to its proper balance compared to the others. Okay, so that's basically servicing this type of nickel metal hydride high voltage battery. So then we're gonna service and we'll continue then. So before rotating your cells, you don't want to get lost. I would strongly recommend you to always have a guide in your side covers in plastic. For example, in this one it says BMU, it's battery management unit. We know that the battery management unit goes directly into the negative and positive market, and to the junction block right here it says junction block direction. You know, the positives over here, the negatives over here. And the other thing is, especially do not get lost with the position of the cells. You identify each one of them. Remember that you start the counting from the computer. So the closest cell to the computer, that's your number one. So if you compare, for example, in the Prius or some other Toyota vehicles, the computer management could be in this side. So if it's in this side, your number one will be here. So in case of Toyota Prius C, the Aqua, the Fielder, the Sienta, the management units from this side. So this is how you count. But not only the individual, but you also count them in blocks. So I have a number 1 to 20, and I have my blocks identified 1, 2, 10. So this way, once you rotate them, you will keep control of the position of each one. Let's continue then. I almost forgot. One other big recommendation that you might want to be aware of. Every time you want to identify when a battery is not good, once you take off these covers and you see they match with the distance, the cells to these tubes, you know that these cells are completely fine. Now, you do not want to take these out right after you were driving the vehicle, all right? You got to leave the battery to cool down for many hours. I actually receive this vehicle yesterday, so I leave the vehicle totally cooling for all the night. Now, what happened, for example, if you take this and suddenly it blows up because all the batteries are swollen. Swollen batteries are gassing batteries inside, right? That means that battery, it's not going to be good in time, because I seen many guys buying foreign used pack, what you call reconditioning packs, and they're all swollen. So when you're going to assemble, happens that the 20 packs are here, and then you have to pull them with a belt. No. Believe me, do not do that. Swollen batteries are gassing batteries. Those batteries won't last so much. A good battery is not swollen. As simple as that. All right. So you want to remember that. Okay. So without any complications, we just extract the first half of the battery, the number 1 to the 5 blocks, and the number 6 to the number 10 block. And what we're gonna do, we're just going to switch position. All right. But before doing that, okay, so we know that we're going to put the battery in exactly this position. Okay, we need to separate the cells, because remember, we need our positive to match, right? Basically that. Okay, sorry, I got interrupted. So what do we do then? Before assembling this whole pack, over here we separate the cells, and remember, these cells has a metal layer over here, which is a heat exchanger, right? What do? We just clean it with a piece of cloth. No grease, nothing. It has to be a dry cloth. Just make sure to take out all the any type of debris that this could have, and that's it. So once you do it to all of them, we can assemble the whole block right here, totally opposite. Let's continue then. Alright, so we have now the full pack is totally rotated. Now you can see the number 8, the number 11 was supposed to be in the middle, right? But still right here and matching to the positive, negative, negative. And then you can see the number 1 instead of being here, now it's in the middle together with the number 10. Now you can see now the cells who were receiving the most thermal stress, for example 6 and 7 pretty much, and also number 5 and number 4, they are now totally relocated in. So in this place they won't receive as much stress as the ones in the middle. So if you do this every certain often, believe me, you will have battery for years and years. And before assembling, we make sure they're not swollen, so we can easily put the bolts. You can see, just a moment. That's it. And we will have absolutely no trouble tighten back the frame. So we'll continue then. Okay, so about the bus bars. Yes, these bus bars definitely need to be cleaned, but I think it would be better just to replace them for brand new nickel plate bus bars. They're way much more efficient. They don't get corroded as fast as the copper, and they're not actually too much. They're not expensive actually. They're about 30 US. So let's just start assembling this and we'll continue then. Right, now here's the thing. I'm not really against cleaning the bus bars. The only issue is that you have to submerge these connecting lugs in vinegar to properly take out all the corrosion, but then you will have to polish them. So how long will it take to do this? This is a Toyota Prius C. What happens if you do it to a Prius or for example the Camry that uses 36 blocks? I'm sorry, 36 cells. No, that's too much. So as you can see, this bus bar, they are fully new and polished. Let's take a look at the condition of a polished one, or in original condition, that won't give you absolutely no resistance. They have to be in this condition. Now it doesn't happen on this one because this is the positive side. We know that the negative side of the battery is the one who really gets more corroded. So this, of course, is going to take you a lot of time. So yep, it's definitely better just put your new nickel plate. Remember, you don't want to leave your fingerprint, right? Because see, that will cause us a small resistance. So you really want to clean them and don't put your hands on it. Okay, let's start to assemble them. Okay, so we have successfully changed all the bus bars, and of course cleaning the voltage sensing monitor connectors, all right, with a piece of cloth and vinegar, and you will get rid of all the corrosion that might be there. Right, now let's start to assemble this back. We'll continue. Okay, by the way, before I forget, before we assemble the battery management unit, we know that the management unit has a connection directly to the high voltage, right? Through these cables. And sometimes, I'm not saying in this vehicle, but I had many cases already. Vehicle not starting because there's no signal from the battery to the battery management unit. So what you should do is just open up the management unit and you will see if you have any type of corrosion from the pins. All right, as I said, not in this case. In this case, the computer is completely fine. I mean, in some other cases, you might find a problem where there's no communication. Most of the times, it's just because there is a lot of corrosion in this connection. So if this is the situation, you might want to change this. Definitely, don't take any risk, because remember, the corrosion travels inside the cable, so you will never get rid of it. All right, so we will continue then. All right, so we're assembling back the connecting lugs or bus bars. So before doing that, we got to make sure our poles are matching. All right, on both sides. You know, it's perfect. We know that our positive main outlet or inlet for the battery matches the positive to the junction block, and then the negative is the one who goes through the last one through this long cable. Right, now the first thing we're gonna do is, remember, I would strongly recommend first assemble the long one. The reason is because if you make a single mistake, let's make an example that if you put it by mistake one position, run it to a side, you can create a fire. Because remember, you will short it to the other side. So you don't want to do that. You want to pay very much attention to this. It is delicate, right? So be very much precautious. This has to go in only one position. Let's say if you run it just one, you will create a fire. It's delicate, right? Connection to the management unit. And that's it. Let's see, just a moment. That's it. We just need to put the 2 bolts and the rest of the nuts. So let's continue. Okay, as you can see, everything is fully tightened. So we can now assemble the cover. But we won't cover this just yet because remember, we're going to connect them at the charging machine over here. Remember that we need to rebalance the battery. All right, let's continue. All right, as you can see, everything's fully clean. The connections are good. It's time to just put on the covers. We can now proceed to connect the battery pack to the balancing machine. Let's just connect it and we'll continue. 156 volts. That is the current voltage of the high voltage battery. We have it connected with the safety plug. The circuit, it's totally closed. So we have our Prolo machine connected to the positive and negative to this tiny little case. What this machine do is collectively charge each one of the modules in order to, remember, if you have the V shape or it's not equal, they will all charge equally, and finally restore the lost capacity. That's basically what it does. So this one is just a universal low amp rate charger, and then we can also use the discharger to give it a 3 cycles deep discharging. As I said, this is just to restore the memory loss. Basically, that's it. This process takes a few days. So what we're gonna do in this case, because this battery is it's not that bad, we're going to give it 1 cycle, and then the other ones I will show you in the very end of the video. All right, so we'll continue then. All right, guys, this is a couple of days later after we fully cycled the high voltage battery. These cells are fully in balance now, so we have a voltage of 165 on the battery. That means we're having around 8.25 volts each one of the module. So this battery is in fully balanced. We are just going to finish to assemble and install it on the vehicle. So let's continue then. So we're making here a little bonus stage. This is the high voltage battery cooling fan. We of course we completely disassemble it. We take out the blade, we submerge the blade in some water soup, non-oily, and we fully clean it until it's as good as new. All right, once everything is fully clean, we lubricate the shaft a little bit. It only goes in one position, right? So let me just a second here. That's it. There she is. Don't forget the center clip. Give me a second. That's it. That's it. It's a little weird because I'm doing this with only one hand. Anyway, that's it. So this is ready to assemble. Now let's put this battery inside the vehicle and we'll continue. All right, guys, so the battery is full in position. We just need to assemble all the bolts and connect everything. Don't forget, every time you service your battery, put your signature, you sign what date the last time this battery was serviced. Try to record that in all of your batteries, right? So you will have a very great control with your customers. So we will continue then. We're almost over. All right, so we're finishing to put all the covers from the battery. The battery is fully tightened. All the connections are good, and don't forget to put your high voltage warning little clip. That's it. It's just to warn you that it's high voltage in here, right? So let me see. Yes. Now it's time to connect the 12-volt battery, activate the hybrid system, and let's see if this vehicle starts. All right, so we have successfully serviced the hybrid system in this Toyota Fielder. As it said, it's the same Prius C, Toyota Aqua, Corolla Axio, Yaris, Vitz, and Toyota Sienta. I mean, if you're watching this video from all over the world, what type of vehicle matches with this setup? All this Toyota that I just mentioned. And everything is fully assembled, as you see over here. The service plug is connected, where we're just the 12-volt battery is the one missing, but everything is fully assembled, fully clean. And we're just going to assemble back the frame and start the vehicle. Everything should be just great. I really hope you guys enjoy this video. Let's just continue to assembling, and we will continue then. All right, so it is the moment of truth. Once, of course, we already assembled all the frame, 12-volt battery is connected. Let's give it a shot. All right, we got our key fob. All right. All right, so we heard 4 clicks. That's what I want to hear. The vehicle, as you can see, is ready mode. That means this vehicle is ready to drive. Oh, how about that, eh? Right. Just a moment. Yes. Okay. Well. All right, guys. The vehicle started with no problem. All right. So, well, it was a very long and explicit video for educational purposes. It took a couple of days to do this. The most difficult part could be, come on, give me a second. It's because of the cycling the battery that takes time, because that's a very slow process. You have to charge and discharge the battery at a very low rate. So as you can see, well, everything's very good. She's good to go. So what we're gonna do is just finish to assemble all the covers, and well, there's some other things that we need to do to the vehicle, change oil, change the transmission, but I wanted to make a real in-depth servicing of the hybrid system. I think this is going to be one of the greatest videos on the channel, so please do not forget, like and subscribe, hit that button, and share this video. Probably you have a lot of friends and other customers of yours that really would like to know how is this hybrid service done in this type of vehicle. So, well, in the meantime, I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next episode. Try to support us subscribing, because great videos are coming. I got 2 inverters ready to disassemble. You don't want to miss that. All right, that's coming very soon. Take care, guys. Next episode, I'll see you.
मात्र चाहता हूँ एक आधा मिनट